Good evening, sir.
Dr. Nyasha, please join.
Dr. Zafar, I think you should begin.
Yes, I
Somebody
think
has joined input till later.
Then we can start. We are already 4 minutes late. We can start, I think.
Yeah.
Good afternoon,
Initial
everybody.
proceedings.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's my proud privilege to welcome our teachers, Dr. MKC Nair sir, the chairperson for today, Dr. Bodhankar sir. I think everybody knows the legacy of both these great gentlemen. Both were past presidents of Indian Academy of Pediatrics. They are our teachers, they are our mentors, they are our guides who had lead this beacon of light for all of us. And whatever we do in the footsteps which they have led so beautifully and so fundamentally. I am honored to welcome both of you, sir. I welcome all my respected senior teachers. I welcome all office bearers of SANBEPA and New Development Pediatrics chapter. I invite all members of SANBEPA from South Asia and my colleagues from India. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Bodhankar sir, who would be chairing this first. Sir was the past president, as I said, of Indian Academy of Pediatrics. He is presently the international executive director of Comhand International. So he is spearheading the entire concept of disability prevention, inclusion for all Commonwealth nations. His work is legendary. I also welcome my teacher, Dr. MKC Nair sir, to be the chief guest for today's event. And it's my privilege now to introduce Dr. Rajesh Khanna, who would be our first speaker from WHO. He's the medical officer in charge for newborn child and adolescent health. He's a pediatrician first and WHO regional office for Southeast Asia. And he is spearheading the concept of the quality care, which right from newborn till adolescent, a great concept. I think our chapter SANBEPA stands for the same. So this is the right opportunity to get wisdom and guidance from him, how best we can collaborate to ensure that every child born in this beautiful part of the world attains his or her maximum potential. With these words, I also welcome the moderator for today's session, Dr. Sameer Dalwai, past Joint Secretary and the Treasurer of IIP, the past Chairperson of a chapter, and I think a beacon of hope for neurodevelopmental pediatrics and pediatrics of future. It's my proud to welcome you, Dr. Sameer.
Thank you so much.
And I also welcome Professor Murtaza sir from Bangladesh. Sir would be part of the panel discussion today. Dr. Lal, as well as Professor Shafali Gulati. They will be introduced by Dr. Sameer Dalwai. And with this, I hand over it to Dr. Rajesh Khanna sir to start his presentation and guide us how best we can collaborate and do the best for the children of South Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Safar. Uh, Dr. Nair, Dr. Bodhankar, esteemed teachers from the Southeast Asia, from the South Asia office countries. I think it's 6 or 8 countries, if I'm not wrong. SANBEPA is
Seven countries.
7 countries. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was very close, 6 and 8. So I should have taken the average. Okay. But thank you so much for inviting me. And I actually first came to know about this wonderful initiative from Dr. Haim, when I was in Nepal. And then I think he connected to Dr. Zafar. And thank you so much, Dr. Zafar, for inviting me out here. I never knew that I would be in the august company of such esteemed members who are so committed to working on the childhood development and especially the neurodevelopmental disorders that we are talking of. And because this is something which is now the next frontier, even for WHO. And I'll be sharing with you few things. Just give me a minute. Let me slides. Yeah. Yeah, just give me a minute. I think there's a
I welcome Professor Niasha Ibrahim. I think she has joined.
Iranian missiles. This was hours after both the countries had agreed to a ceasefire, according to the US President Donald.
Professor Niasha, ma'am, we are honored to have
Yes,
you.
sir, I'm here.
Welcome, ma'am. Sorry, actually, I had some issue with my laptop, so I'm on my phone. I'm taking time to figure out. Most welcome. Madam would be co-chairing the session today. Madam is the Chief Consultant of Indira Gandhi Child Institute, Maldives. She is the advisor for SANBEPA. Her work for children of South Asia and particularly Maldives is very highly recognized. We appreciate your kind presence, ma'am, for your august presence today, as well as the guiding force you bring to SANBEPA as well as for children of South Asia. Most welcome, ma'am. We are honored with your gracious presence.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome, Niasha. Welcome with me.
Rajesh,
Hello,
don't
sir.
try to make it full screen. It may not come. I think leave it
Okay.
like this. It's very good.
Okay.
Don't try to make it full screen. That's why there is a problem.
Acha.
This is okay. This is
Okay then.
reasonably good.
Yeah, we can see it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, I am going to share today. I know, first of all, I already have converts who know about, what we are talking about. I'm just going to share with you few new initiatives that have come up recently. You might be aware of it because you are experts in the field, especially for parental support. And toward the end, I'm also going to share you uh, one big scale which has come up for population-based surveys led by WHO. Now, we all do understand that early childhood development. I'm not going to go into the depth of early childhood development because Dr. Zafar told me that last week Vivek was here. Last month Vivek was there and he has already shared you some information about the childhood development. But one of the big challenges that we are realizing in the region, and probably that's why we need your support, is how we can drive the agenda of thrive in the region. Now, this is something that we all are committed to doing. These are the SDG targets. Out of the 9 targets within the health goal, you see 3 of them are related to mortality reduction. But then early childhood development, it's not part of the health, it comes under education. But The idea is that there has to be universal access to quality early childhood development. Now, this is again something that you are very clearly aware of. I'm not going into to go into the depth of it, just to lay the context for what I am coming to. Now, out of these five interrelated and they are indivisible components, we all have to take into consideration they go together. The challenge is when we go to work at the country level, at scale, that is where the real challenge starts. And I'm going to speak from a little bit of the public health perspective, why this becomes so much important when we move ahead. Health and nutrition is something that all countries have it embedded in their national policies and programs. But the other three components are the ones which are the most ignored, and countries are completely at loss to understand how to go at scale with opportunities for early learning, responsive caregiving, and safety and security. Nurturing care framework, which was brought out in 2018, acts as your inputs. We all understand that it's your early childhood development, which we are all targeting at. But for that, nurturing care provides the framework. Now, in the region, now the Southeast Asia region, which I'm talking to, it's made up of just 11 countries. It's the smallest of all the six WHO regions. However, strategically the most important because it's contributing to 1/4 of the global population. When the nursing care framework was endorsed at the World Health Assembly in 2018, after that a regional assessment we did, we realized that there were a number of gaps. This could be done only in 7 out of 11 countries because at that time COVID was there. So whichever countries were able to do it, we did it. And we realized various challenges in terms of the policies and in the programs. Now, important thing is WHO works is an intergovernmental agency, so we work with the governments. So over the next 3-4 years, our focus was on how do we advocate the importance of early childhood development at the policy level, and then have some national programs coming up and then support them in implementation. After the regional assessment, the next was a multi-sectoral regional meeting where nearly all the countries participated and more than 100 participants. This was done jointly with UNICEF, and we shared best practices how countries could make it. Now, when the policies were made, we realized that there were certain policymakers who were still reluctant to adopt this approach because it's a multi-sectoral collaboration. When you go to do it at the national level, how do you do it? So a policymakers course was there and we supported along with the UNICEF regional office, and 3 countries from CR and 3 countries from other regions were oriented together. And now presently we are doing a follow up to see how we can take it to the next level. Just to give you a brief of what success we have achieved, but also the huge gaps that we are seeing. So this is a policy situation review that is done every 2 to 3 years at the headquarters level from WHO, and the ministries complete it. So this is just give you a glimpse of, yes, the policy situation for early childhood development in 22-23 compared to 28-29 when it was, has improved a lot. We see it's quite favorable, but there are still few gaps. Your preconception is not covered. Family social welfare support is hugely lacking. The protection of children from violence is lacking. Similarly, when you look into say which of the sectors are involved, these are, kindly note, these are all at the policy level. These are not the real situation at the field level. But at least at the policy, they have got arrangements for involving all the sectors, except probably your environmental, safety, security, and wash. Now, I am going to focus mainly on 2 courses that have come up for the caregivers. We know caregivers play a key role in the ecology of children and adolescents. And when we are talking of the thought of a child being able to not only survive but thrive and reach its full potential, then caregivers and the community has a very critical role to play. Importantly, it's not only for their development, but then the second bit is when you have children with developmental disorders or developmental disabilities. In those scenarios, parents have a higher rate of depression, they suffer mental anxiety, stigma, and various challenges. And so the two courses that I'm going to share with you is to support these parents. Now, first is the nurturing care. Now, in the nurturing care, we know that the health and nutrition services, still there are systems in place in countries where the parents can be supported. But when it comes to responsive care giving and opportunities for early learning, that was where the challenge came. How can you better support these parents? And then the question came, because usually we expect other departments to take lead, but then it was realized that probably health and nutrition will have to take lead in also ensuring that parents get support for the three other components of the nurturing care. This is a course that came way long back, 2011. And I think I don't need to tell, because Professor, all of you are stalwarts in this field, that this was a care for child development developed way back in 2011 by UNICEF WHO. This was a simple course on how do you strengthen the capacity. Important thing which I'm bringing up at this point, and we just had done this exercise in Nepal, is this has been now been upgraded. It brings the versatility of using it flexibly, using a hybrid mode. And the best thing about it is that it's now making us as professionals understand how important it is to respond. The way role plays, simulations have been structured in it, it's it's much more improved version that we are seeing it now. I'll not go into it. These are the various things which you know needs to be done. This is a simple recommendations that have been released. Again, not go into the depth of it. Why I just highlighted this course, even though you might all be aware of it, is that this has gone a big change. And I would urge Dr. Zafar that it would be good if you can discuss with your Nepal colleagues on what was the difference that they found when this course was done. And we conducted a facilitators training in Nepal. All the developmental pediatricians were trained on how to conduct it and how important it is for them to understand that, sometimes you have to take off your professional degrees, keep it aside, and do it with a more humane touch. So that's the difference methodology that has been really integrated into this course. Now, coming to the WHO's other role, and this is on specifically children with developmental disabilities. A number of initiatives are being taken. In close to 13 countries, a joint UNICEF WHO program is running where they are implementing models on how best we can build the capacity of the parents and of the systems to deal with children with developmental disabilities. There's a new skills training that has been developed, and I will be discussing more about it. I'll be sharing more details about it. Then there is an annual report that comes up, and then there is an advocacy and high level dialogue. Now, critically, it's important what we are seeing in the region over the past 2 decades is that the easily preventable causes are now we are able to handle. If we look into the mortality pattern, we find that prematurity definitely is the number one cause of under 5 deaths. What we are finding is that birth asphyxia continues to remain an important cause. Infections have gone down, but your birth defects and developmental disabilities seems to be increasing manyfold when you look into compare the mortality and morbidity burden over the past 2 decades. That's why apart Yeah. So apart from building the health systems perspective, we are also realizing that unless parental capacity is increased, we will not be able to achieve the agenda of thrive and transform. We will not be able to ensure that children reach their full potential. Now, this skill training program is again coming from that perspective. Now, this is an nurturing care framework, but with an extended environment. We do understand that unless an enabling environment is provided, children will not reach their full potential. And one of the key recommendations that came up 3 years back was that the parent skill training should be offered to all families and communities wherever there are children with developmental delays or disabilities. Now, this training is primarily aimed at increasing the ability of the caregivers to promote their children's development and well-being through a well-structured curriculum, which includes play and home routines. It usually covers children, caregivers of children aged 2 to 9 years, and it can be given to anyone. It, of course, specialists, developmental pediatricians, just like you are one of the key audience. But then you can also give it, and we do understand that unless this training is expanded and more people are trained to give it to the caregivers, we will not be able to reach each and every child. So your community health workers, nurses, education facilitators, teachers, all can be covered under this training. So these are the backbone of the program is this is a core set of skills and strategies that are imparted to the caregivers. If you look into these skills, these are not very different for the care for child development course which I talked about and which you all will be well aware of. But the difference is it's going into more depth. And how do we give this training? It's usually consisting of 9 group sessions. Each group section has some role plays, some case studies, and also structured simulations. Approximately 2.5 hours is each group session, and you can have it maybe once in a week or once after every month, depending on how the your target audience wants to take it. Additionally, there are 3 home visits which are combined with it. One at the beginning of the course, one during the midway, and then one at the end to see where change has been brought about. This is the complete package which I'm talking of. This was released and is freely available on the WHO website. Interestingly, this has also been converted into a e-learning module now, so anyone can access it. I'm going to share this presentation with you so that you can use the link and access it yourself. In English, it's already there. Also, it has been translated in one more language I'm forgetting about because it has happened recently. But the best part is that it's can also be used easily on your mobile devices. So need not have laptops to access this. Apart from your CST package, there are 3 additional modules which have been brought for the caregivers' well-being, that is for their mental health. Now, these are optional modules. These can be combined together with it, or you can keep it separately. These are the 3 ones which are predominantly helping the caregivers understand, because they go through a very stressful period on how to cope up with a child with developmental disability and delays. So what they need to do, how they can take breaks, what they can do to rejuvenate themselves. So all these components are covered in these well-being modules. Again, I'm not going to go into the depth, but just giving you a brief idea about what these courses are about. Importantly, they try to individualize by giving these stories where you can, where parents, when they go through it through comic books, they understand that this is the same feeling that they also go through it. So it's not something that is happening only to them. And it's a very normal thing. And it also motivates them that whatever they are doing the best for their child. Apart from it, the another important piece which I want to bring it, and this was Dr. Zafar specifically said that you bring it up as the global scale for early development. Now, one of the biggest challenge that we are finding in scaling up early childhood development is that we did not have a standardized measurement scale. And when we don't have data on what is the how big is the burden, how big is the challenge, it becomes very difficult to advocate with the policymakers on what is required. That's a that was a big problem that at WHO we felt. And nearly 3 years back, this big exercise was started. How can we come and identify a universal measurement for development of children under 3 years at a population level, which can be integrated into your census, which can be integrated into your family health surveys? How we can use it? Till now, we knew that only the proxy indicators were used. Somewhere stunting was used, somewhere other measures were used, but we did not have a very correct measure, which was validated at globally. So this global scale for early development has just been released recently. It provides a standardized new methodology to monitor the development of children till 3 years of age. It is a holistic measure. It captures multiple domains. It has been validated. There is an open access, no requirement required for licenses, and it's freely available. It can be used by the field workers and community health workers. Now that is very important because if you want to collect population data at scale, we will need it to be a very simple measure. Because of the 3 years exercise, we have seen it generates comparable data across countries and can be simply interpreted. Importantly, it helps in measurement of the magnitude of early childhood development and the problems at the population level. Important thing at present it is not able to do is does not help us identify how many children have developmental impairment. But again, the good thing, there is a tool currently being developed again at headquarters. It's a same exercise. One part has come to capture whether the children are developmentally on track or not, but a tool which at population level can measure the burden of what is this, how many children have developmental impairment, that is currently being developed. And I hope it should be out probably by in a year or two, because it needs to be validated, it needs to be compared. So all that work is going on. So I will stop now. Just a brief glimpse of what things are happening. It is just three things, but then there are a number of other initiatives that I can share, but I have not gone into the depth of it. So I will stop now, Zafar. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. It was really a very good showcase of the great work WHO is doing under the able guidance of you and your expert team at WHO. Uh, I request Dr. First Bodhankar sir just to summarize in short what we just spoke, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jafar, for giving us opportunity to listen the most challenging lecture by respected Dr. Rajesh Khanna, who is the WHO CRO Regional Office, is the pediatrician. He has given, as you said, rightly about how we can go about initiative in child development. He just touched on some of the things which we are not aware, like data gap, GSED, and and CST module, which was e-learning module also. I think this was a great eye-opener for us. I welcome Dr. Divya Shah, with a chairperson from me from Maldives. I recognize Dr. M.K. Nair, Dr. Rawat sir, Dr. Samir Dalwai, and all the speakers who are here, Dr. Lal, Dr. Murtuza, Dr. Shefali. I think all credit goes to the IAP chapter, Neurodevelopmental Pediatrician, Japar, and SANBEPA Association for giving us the support. I will just, in 2 minutes, if you allow, Japar, there are initiatives from WHO, as said by respected Dr. Rajesh Khanna. There were initiatives from Government of India, like Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyan, RBSK, had launched this for screening children 0 to 18 years. Secondly, District Early Intervention Center. Thirdly, Care for Child Development, CCD by WHO UNICEF. And further going, there were also early childhood development program under ICDF, and inclusion in national health policy and RNCR, and lastly, national trust and NIEPD was there. Japar, you will be happy to know that the key Indian organization which have been recognized by Government of India, Ministry of Health and Child Development and Mother and Child, was Indian Academy of Pediatrics, chapter on neurodevelopmental pediatrics, then the Center for NIPID, Hyderabad, and Latika Rai Foundation, Umi Child. So I think the three organization, which is one of our organization, IAP, I compliment Dr. Jafar and all people for taking us to the root cause of child development. Thank you.
Thank you, Bodhankar sir. I also take this
Yeah.
opportunity to welcome Dr. Shauli Sarkar, Joint Secretary from Bangladesh, Dr. Shaila from Bangladesh, our senior members from Neurodevelopmental Pediatrics, Dr. Manmi, Dr. Endu, Dr. Sirprakasam, Dr. Leena Srivastava, our past chairperson, Dr.
Yeah.
Chitra, Dr. Chaya Prasad. Welcome all. I also welcome my senior delegates from Nepal. Thank you all. With this, I hand over for a brief update from Dr. MKC sir. Sir, your
And then Dr. Niyasha.
she would do the second session, sir. Dr. Niyasha would do the second session.
Okay.
Sir, MKC sir.
MKC sir.
Good afternoon. I think it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, sir, for remembering me after so many years. That's a great thing. 3 points only I would like to highlight. One, he has really given us a path, opened a path how we can focus on the first 3 years of life. We are hearing about first 1,000 days, etc., etc. But this first 3 years is a very great focus. We have come out with a global developmental screening thing. I will urge researchers to compare this with the locally available and very well validated tools, so that we want to show that this new tool that is coming at a global level has very good credibility as compared to whatever we have been doing now. That is the second point. The second point, most important, is the IAP NDP chapter has come out with under Dr. Safar, and it has come out with what to do with the high-risk babies in the nursery and SNCUs. That is one thing. Exactly. We have also come out with the new term habilitation, because for too long we have been wasting energy only talking about disability and rehabilitation. I think it's a time to talk about habilitation, since we are saving a lot of low birth weight and preterm babies. There's a second one. Third, in the Indian context, we have a great opportunity now, that because with the national education policy, all the 3 to 6 preschool is going to go to school. So we have lakhs and lakhs of Anganwadi workers who can be trained to take care of 0 to 3 years. I will urge WHO, Rajesh sir, I will urge you to take it in a big way. 3 words I use: first 1,000 days, rehabilitation instead of rehabilitation, and third one is the first 3 years by Anganwadi workers in the Indian context. Thank you all very much. And Professor Rawat Saab is sitting there. Safar, just
Yes,
give
sir.
a wish to
Yeah,
Dr.
yes, sir.
MS Rawat Saab. Yeah.
Professor Rawat, sir, please, sir, your words of guidance and pearls of guidance, sir. Professor Rawat, sir.
Unmute kariye, unmute. Sir.
It is really wonderful to talk about the improvement in the healthcare of children right from birth to adolescent. Jay sir has said deserves a lot of implementation in the country so that the children could be uh, improved, and especially the disabled children who need more attention and rehabilitation than other normal children. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me the opportunity to
Sir, we
talk
are
to you.
honored. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Now,
you.
I take this opportunity to invite my friend who was the past chairperson, as I said, not only of the chapter, who transformed the group into a chapter, Dr. Sameer Dalwai, the future of IIP. I hand over to you, Dr. Sameer, to moderate the next session.
I think I'm so sorry to interject. Unfortunately, I will have to leave.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. But I remain committed to working together with SANDEPA, and and how we can work together to promote the agenda of making sure that all children, irrespective of their developmental disabilities or disorders, reach their full potential.
Sir, just
Thank
1
you
minute
so.
before you go. 1 minute before you go.
Yes, sir.
We want to know whether there is some magic in the name Rajesh Khanna that it becomes a superstar, because at least I know two superstars today who have superstars in their own field. So thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. This is just a beginning. It's not the end.
I know.
I hope it would be a very practical, very pragmatic, long association with SANBEPA and neurodevelopmental pediatrics. Thank you very much,
Sure.
but for your presence and your
Thank
perfect
you.
presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And my greetings to all our seniors. I won't repeat because other audience is waiting for it, but always a blessing to have all of you with us here. And moving over now to the panel discussion. We have three panelists today, each of them better than the par excellence. And the first talk is on a very important issue. We all talk about genetics and genetics in the lab, but the genetics actually is out there in the world, interacting with the rest of the world, and this interaction between genes and the environment, which can actually be transmitted further on, which is the epigenetic part, is extremely important in child development. When we want somebody to talk about epigenetics, we need to look for somebody who is not only a great clinician, not only a good academician, but a combination of the two, and a very practical person who can use knowledge in the way that the world needs to see it. And that is none other than our dear Dr. D.V. Lal Nair, sir, who is a developmental and behavioral pediatrician in service for children with special needs. He is the director and the founder of Savita Child Development Center. Savita is a director at Savita Medical College, Chennai, MD Vistara Group, Chennai. He is a founder of MD Genvectech private company and founder and managing trustee of Vistara Foundation. He is currently course coordinator for the IIP Fellowship in Developmental Behavioral Pediatrics and MSc Child Development Intervention, Savita Medical College. He is a recipient of C.V. Raman Award for Excellence in Medical Research. He is author of multiple books. We all know him to be a very, very dynamic person, and he is always raring to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we present Dr. D.V. Nair Lal on epigenetics in neurodevelopmental disorders. Dr. Lal, you can take over.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, go ahead.
So straight away, next slide, please. So straight away, going into the topic. We all know about genetics. Epigenetics is something that is outside the genetics, the genetic part, but it gets involved in the expression of the particular DNA field. What I mean is a change that is happening outside, and it regulates the gene activity and its expression by remaining outside. It's outside the primary gene sequence, but it will be affecting the ability of the gene to be expressed. This has become very important because it has a crucial role in the development as well as in the function of our central nervous system. And nowadays it is being increasingly being implicated in the etiology of various neurodevelopmental disorders. We come to the epigenetic. There are two aspects. First, we have to see what's happening in the normal brain with respect to epigenetics. And then we will go into the dysregulation part of it. In the normal brain, right from the start, right from when our nerves are being formed, some nerves from the neuronal stem cell will go into the cortex, some will go into the brain stem, some will go into the spinal cord. Now, this particular activity itself is being controlled to a large extent by the epigenetic mechanism. Then we have got the synaptic plasticity, where it will be modulating the strength and the connectivity of the neuronal circuit. So this is very much important later in life, where you will be dependent on it for your learning and for retention of your memory and other things. And the third part in a normal brain where it helps in is the gene expression program. That is, at every point or different stages of brain development, it happens at precise timing. The precise timing and the level of gene expression, it is required for the different stages of the brain to be expressed at different levels. So this is how the epigenetic part will help in the normal brain development. Now, when we come to when this is getting dysregulated, how it gets dysregulated, there are some genetic factors. For example, the mutations that is happening in the gene which is encoding for this epigenetic machinery. There's something called writers, erasers, and readers of this epigenetic memory. So when a mutation happens there, then the epigenetic machinery becomes heavier. For example, the MECP2 mutation, which you all know about, we all talk about with respect to the Rett syndrome. It affects the DNA methylation, and thereby it is going into the disease manifestation. Similarly, we have got the CGG repeats. When it is more than 200 CGG repeats, is going to full-blown disease, and that silences the Fragile X mental retardation 1 FMR1 gene that results in the expression of the physical as well as the behavioral manifestations of Fragile X syndrome. There again, what is happening is extra methyl groups are being added. What is called hypermethylation is getting added. So that's an example of few genetic factors, how the epigenetic is getting changed. Now there are the environmental factors. This becomes very important for us because this is something which is perfectly under our control and we can manipulate it. For example, the prenatal stresses, the toxins, the infections, nutritions, and even assisted reproductive techniques. This can induce long-standing epigenetic changes. For example, it can involve the stress response, the glucocorticoid receptors, the neurotropic factors, BDNF, for example, and immune pathways. Now, these assume very important things when the child is developing, especially in the initial years of life. Combined with these things, when these two factors combine together, the genetic and the epigenetic environment interaction happens, then it creates big problems. Let's see how it's for the different types of epigenetic modifications. The first mechanism is DNA methylation, where the methyl group is just added. So what happens is the gene undergoes a silence. The next method is histone modifications. Here what happens is, to the histone, you will add some chemical modification, for example, acetylation methylation. It is like you have got sticks tied up together with a rope. The rope is a DNA, and the sticks are the histone. The tighter you tie, the compact it becomes. Now, if it is being made compact, then transcription cannot happen. So this is the histone modification that is happening, because of which this thing cannot be expressed. Third one is energy dependent. If you don't have energy, then it prevents the chromatin accessibility. And finally, the fourth mechanism is what is called non-coding RNA. RNAs normally code for or translate into proteins. But these are a group of RNAs which do not translate into protein. Instead, they will regulate the first two things. That's the DNA methylation and the histone modification. Next slide. So now we come to examples of this. For example, if you take Rett syndrome, Fragile X, Angelman, these are all examples of DNA methylation problems. The histone acetylation problem, Rubenstein-Typhi, Coffin-Stiris, Cliff-Stry, etc. Histone methylation, for example, Kabuki syndrome, SOTA syndrome, and Fragile X. Chromatin remodeling, the ADNP syndrome, the CHAR syndrome, and the CSD8 type of autism spectrum disorder. These are all in chromatin modeling. Then the non-coding RNAs, we have got the long non-coding RNAs and the microRNAs dysregulation. These are all examples of different epigenetic modifications. Next slide, please. I've told about MECP. When we think about MECP2, Rett comes in our mind. But there are a lot of other things also. For example, the MECP for example, MECP duplication syndrome, PPM syndrome, etc. In the MECP2 protein, it modifies the chromatin, it maintains the synapses, and it does the alternates splicing of the mRNA. So when this particular protein is reduced because of mutation, it forms Rett syndrome. That is more common in females. But all other conditions associated with MECP2 are more common in males. But we think about Rett syndrome, girl child, and physical deterioration only. See, the MECP2 duplication, there's an extra protein that is added. It's more common in males. The PPM syndrome, where you get the psychosis, the Parkinson-like movements, and macroorchidism and X chromosome. It's from X-linked. So this is again more common in males. Then there is the severe neonatal encephalopathy, which manifests with seizures, breathing problems, and movement problems in the microcephaly in the newborn period itself. This is also related to MECPT. So the moment we get MECPT, please do not think about red yellow. Now, the next one is what is called Prader-Willi and Angelman syndrome. Why I'm telling this is because I need to give some examples to understand. This is basically, both are basically imprinting disorder. What you have to understand is, in both cases, the DNA sequence is okay, but the epigenetic marker that is inherited from one parent will be silenced. If it is from the maternal side, it is silenced. It results in the Angelman syndrome, where you get the happy puppet laughter, frequent laughter, happy puppet syndrome. There is an inappropriate expression of a gene. Whereas in Prader-Willi, the paternal side is deleted. There you get leading to a silencing of the gene. Now, this assumes very significant because this is essentially a manipulatable condition. For example, in infancy in Prader-Willi, you get hypotonia, you get feeding problems, you get low birth weight. But when between 2 and 6 years, they become obese, they become hyperphagic, and they will have learning problems, endocrine problems all come up later in life. We'll discuss about it a little bit when we are dealing the manipulation of epigenetics. So is it possible for us to manipulate this epigenetic so that we can do something different from what God has decided? So we have found out some mechanism. They are by doing drugs, what we call epidrugs. Then there is the gene editing mechanism. Then there is a non-coding, manipulating the non-coding RNA. And finally, the dietary and environmental interventions, which probably we can do as developmental pediatrician. Whatever be the mechanism that you use, the primary aim should be to induce a closed or a transcriptionally inactive chromatin state around that problematic gene. Let's see one by one. For example, the epigenetic modification. As you can see, the brown round thing is the histone, and the blue thing string is the DNA. So the histone deacetylase inhibitors are a group of drugs which will, the SDAC will remove the acetyl group, and then I said before it becomes tighter, and therefore gene expression is not possible. So if you can remove that particular thing, what happens? It becomes Okay. And the next one, a typical example is trofinetide, which is recently approved for the use of use in Rett syndrome. This exactly function this particular method. The other one is under clinical trial is orinostat. The trofinetide is currently being used and FDA approved. Next slide, sir. So in the epigenetic editing technique, the CRISPR technique, where you edit a gene, it has been found to be preclinical use in Fragile X as well as in Angelman syndrome. And it is still in the preclinical state. So we are not going into that. What it does is just reactivate those paternal UB3A copy if it is there in the Angelman syndrome. The next slide. So here in the RNA coding, for example, there's something called antisense oligonucleotide in Fragile X. That's also in the preclinical state. Nowadays in the market, we get this quadrifolate, the 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, the active form of folic acid, especially for autism spectrum disorder. But it is particularly useful for folate receptor autoantibodies or specific MDHR gene variants only. Suzenersen is the first FDA approved for SMA type 2. In SMA, what is happening is you have got a missing of the SM1 gene. So what happens is our body tries to compensate with a backup gene called SMN2. Now the difference between the two is only a single nucleotide. But the problem is in SMN2, you don't have an exon 7. So what nusinersen does, it promotes the inclusion of this exon 7 when the SMN2 is formed, and therefore the SMN2 is being made a little bit more functional and slightly longer, therefore restoring the motor function. That is how it is working. Next slide, sir. Now come to the part where we can actually do some difference. The methyl donors, which I have already told, 5-methyl tetra. Now, since this particular thing has come out, many of us have been putting it left and right, and therefore the parents will be coming up with complaints that the behavioral disorders have become worse. But that's because in the first 2 months they say when you put this methane tetrahydrofolate, there will be some extra things that is happening in the brain. They will become more hyperactive. It will settle by 1 to 1.5 years, or 1.5 months. So, but then it becomes inconvenient. So we have to actually counsel the parents in case we are putting these sort of drugs randomly. But it is more specific for folate receptor antibodies and MTHFR gene, as I've said already, more useful for cerebral folate deficiency because it bypasses the blood-brain barrier and goes. That is what is being suggested. Next thing that we can do has been proven in the Fragile X syndrome is the environmental enrichment. The more stimulating the living environment that you give, it will lead to an increased motor neuron activity and plasticity, which in turn results in gene expression, epigenetic expressions, increased histone acetylation and DNA methylation in specific gene. Next slide. So, having said all these things, these are some evidences. Can we convert this into real life interventions? This is what we are interested in. Next, if we have to do it, we have to do it quite early because the DNA methylation and the chromatin accessibility both are high only in the intrauterine stage or in the early stages of first 1 year of life. After which the chromatin accessibility will come down, even though the DNA methylation remains high. That's the importance of intervening in the first 1 year or 1.5 years of life. We are talking about 1,000 days, but I think still, as far as this evidence is concerned, we have to be doing it a little bit more early. So next slide. We go into, I talked about the Prader-Willi syndrome. In the young child, it's a feeding problem, less than 1 year. It becomes hyperphagic by 2 to 3 years, 6 years. Low birth weight, become obese. What is happening here is a dysregulation of the appetite regulating gene in the hypothalamus. Oh, they overeat. And so it is a neurodevelopmental problem as well as it affects the metabolic pathways. So without early intervention, if you are going to live like that, then the obesity-related complication also comes in, like type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, CVS problems. So we have to intervene quite early in this child, and probably towards the end of the first year itself, we have to start these modifications of the diet, behavioral modification, and medical interventions to regulate the appetite and prevent the excessive weight gain. Next slide, sir. Now, this is the summary of the epi drugs that are available. DNA methylation, I have told you. I have written the application in NDD, how it happens. A potential reactivation of the FMR1 is what is being suggested in DNA methylation. In HDAC, again, it improves the synaptic plasticity in Fragile X and autism. CRISPR, again, reactivation. miRNA, potential correction of the mRNA dysregulation. And the long non-coding RNA, again, it restores the UBE3A in Angelman syndrome. These are whatever I have written. I have written the evidences also in the last column about this thing, and the mechanisms are also there with respect to the drugs. Many of these things are the experimental stage. So I'm going to the next slide. Now, when we come to the environmental, this is something which we can do. When we
Dr.
provide
Lal, this is like a fabulous session, but I'm unfortunately forced to remind you of the time.
Yeah, I am finishing up in 2 slides. So in environmental enrichment, it improves the learning, memory, and anxiety behaviors. Stress reduction will improve the emotional regulation. Exercise in ADHD, it improves attention, executive functions, and hyperactivity. The mechanism is there, histone acetylation and DNA methylation. Lead exposure, if you can manipulate it, you can reduce the cognitive deficit, behavioral problems, and ADHD. The mechanism is DNA methylation and histone modification. Next slide. We come to the nutritional modifications. When we have provided a good early life stress and maternal care, increased DNA methylation, NR3C1 is available, glucocorticoid receptors, it reduces the stress. What happens? It enhances the HPA axis regulation, anxiety, depression will be reduced. Maternal diet and AST provides methyl donors, therefore alters neuronal differentiation, synaptic plasticity. You got the nutritional supplementation that we do, which stabilizes the epigenetics. And polyphenols, for example, curcumin and sulforaphane, which is in broccoli, it is also now available as drug, commercially available. It improves only the behavioral aspect of the ASD. Next slide. Now, EIBI, the evidences, we don't have any molecular evidences, but it's supposed to give behavioral and cognitive evidences. Next slide. With respect to sensory integration, there is no evidences which produces any epigenetics. With speech therapy, the FOXP2 and CNTAP2 is specifically useful in SLI, specific language impairment. In those conditions, it is found to give some epigenetic changes when we are intervening. Next slide. So that is the parent-mediated interventions, the evidences of that we have got moderate to strong evidence. The previous speaker also was talking about parent-mediated evidences. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So here we have got the early sensory stimulation. I'm not talking about sensory integration. I'm talking about the stimulation that we give immediately after the NICU. It helps in improving the synaptic plasticity by chromatin modulation. Parent-delivered behavioral intervention through the oxytocin-mediated receptor methylation. What is happening? It improves in the social communication in toddlers at familial risk of autism spectrum disorder. Similarly, early physical activity and movement-based therapy through histone modification, it improves the motor coordination, executive dysfunction in ADHD and ASD. Next slide. These are the different, how the
Dr.
parenting
Lal,
program
keep
and how,
something
this
for
is the
the
last
main
slide.
conference.
Yeah, this is the
Keep
last
something
slide.
for the main conference.
Yeah. So this is how the parenting program and the nutritional things are different and how it affects. Now coming to the last one, I'm just providing you a framework, probably from preconception to after birth and monitoring the feedback, the different key strategies that will work and the epigenetic rationale for it. Whatever I have told before, I have summarized and I have made it into a natural framework so that it can be probably used by somebody who may be taking it up.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for this breathless version of Shankar Mahadevan, Dr. Lal. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I'm also very happy to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Uday Budhankar sir, Dr. M.K.C. Nair sir, Dr. Rawat sir, as well as Dr. Sitaraman and Dr. Nia Shah from our neighboring country. And now it's my proud privilege to introduce a person with a topic very much after my heart. And the speaker is Professor Murtuza Ahmed, Professor M.R. Khan Hospital and Institute of Child Health, and advisor of Bangladesh Child Neurology Society. He has written many books on child development. He's going to speak on a topic which is very close to what I have been also working on: impact of digital human versus human interaction. Professor Murtuza Ahmed, sir, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you all.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
This is I have digital exposure in young brain. Digital exposure is a global concern. So neurons and synapses in the young brain is like that. You have to use it by two-way interaction, or you will lose it. And from birth to 1 year, it is around 1 million synapses per second, and then it is continuous, and then after the 2 years, it slows down, and then comes synaptic pruning. By 2 to 3 years, the child brain achieves twice the density of adult brain. So this is the more important point, that every minute in infancy counts. Every minute. It should have a human touch. If by a human touch, two-way interaction continues, that synapses get strengthened, and otherwise they will be lost. So more two-way interaction, more interconnected neurons, and more powerful neurons. And it is a time-bound interaction. Next slide. The impact of active two-way interaction, two-way caregiver interaction on synaptic strengthening engages a broader neural network, fostering robust synaptic strengthening, promotes experience-dependent plasticity via repeated meaningful stimuli, enhances multisensory integration vital for language, cognition, and socio-emotional development. And it also stimulates the circuit formation by involving higher order integration in prefrontal, temporal, and frontal regions. And it provides feedback to give synaptic reinforcement to Hebbian plasticity, cells that fire together and wire together. Next. But in case of in digital screen exposure, it is only one-way interaction, which lacks it is less contingent and less adaptive feedback, activates fewer circuits with a diminished socio-emotional engagement, leads to weaker synaptic connections in cognitive, attention, social, and language domains, so results in overstimulation of visual and auditory pathways, but under activation of integrative centers like prefrontal cortex, temporal parietal lobes, and limbic system with bad consequences. So next slide. Next slide, please. Now, previous slide, role of human interaction in brain development. This is very important that brain is a million-year-old national way of brain development is now being interrupted by the environment. We should honor the nature and interaction between the nature and nurture. So in human interaction in the brain development, there are some important points. If with human touch, we shall get the social cues such as facial expression, gestures, smiles, eye contact that catalyze the reciprocal social and emotional development. We have also emotional component that shared attention gives verbal communication, emotional bonding, empathy, self-regulation, and pro-social behavior. And it also helps in cognition. Shared attention supports learning by observation, cognitive and language development, and gives secure attachment. And the executive function, which is problem solving and executive functions, are nurtured by emotionally rich, real-time care giver responses. Otherwise, executive function will not work. So to summarize the difference between the toddler human interaction and toddler digital interaction, I have to give emphasis. Next slide. In toddler human interactions, socially builds joint attention, empathy, turn-taking, and reads social cues. But in digital interaction, lacks joint attention and other stimulation are minimal. In emotional component, emotional regulation especially, and secure attachment and shared feelings are empowered in human-human interaction, but it lacks emotional feedback, so there is poor self-regulation. In cognitive domain, it stimulates problem solving as would function in imagination, which cannot be done in toddler digital interaction. In language domain, the rich, responsive conversation and strong vocabulary with context is implemented in toddler human interaction, but there is a poor verbal and non-verbal language, and the context is not fully defined. In behavioral side, there is no modeling of positive behavior, self-control, and cooperation in toddler digital interaction. But in human interaction, always there is a positive modeling and which gives us self-control and cooperation. So this is the vital that we are facing a new threat. The toddler brain are facing a new threat, extension toddler digital interaction under interaction play a pivotal role in delay in socio-economic delay and autism. So that's why we have to become more careful about this new dimension of development, male development. So that is very important. Next slide. We have to be careful about early intervention in autism. More early interventions gives rise better outcome. In 6 to 12 months says pro-declarative joint attention is linked to socio-emotional sharing and communication. So its absence between 6 to 12 months is an early indicator of autistic spectrum disorder. So to detect autistic spectrum disorder in a very early stage, we have to educate the parents, caregivers to observe the gaze shift and joint attention so that we can intervene very earlier, not by information, very important, but by behavior change communication. I have found that zero tolerance, zero digital screen exposure is associated with better outcome. But some digital exposure, we cannot get the good outcome in autism patients. And especially the malpractice of feeding with a mobile phone is very dangerous. With these few words, I want to give my book introduction. I have written a book on Bengali language on parents' role in the prevention of autism and child development. I, Professor Amol Murtuza Chaudhary, Deepa Shah, and Jubaida Parvin has published it in Bengali language. So next slide. So So saving young brains is a social imperative. Just as the trees make air breathable, young brains with growing synapses keep humanity alive. The healthy development of toddlers' neurons is the foundation of human potential. In this digital and AI age, safeguarding young neurons is critical to sustaining humanity's intellectual and emotional capacities. So, I am ending my presentation with a call to action and conclusion. We have to recognize the risk, recognize the neurological and developmental risks of early digital exposure. We have to promote interaction between caregiver and child as a cornerstone of healthy brain development. And we have to advocate for policies and educational efforts to support skin-free environment during critical development windows. Thank you all.
Absolutely wonderful presentation, sir. And that's exactly what we need to be working on. How do we move children away and safeguard them from overexposure? Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Now it's my proud privilege to introduce a very dear friend and a very cherished colleague, Dr. Shifali Gulati, who is a very well-known person, professor at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. She has actually co-founded South Asia's first DM pediatric neurology program and has over 51 students since 2008. She now has envisioned and leads the Center of Excellence and Advanced Research for Childhood Neurodevelopmental Disorders. She serves as the president of the Asian Oceanics Congress of Child Neurology, and she's the president of the Association of Child Neurology India currently. She is the editor of the Autism Journal, the only Asian editor for this journal. She has more than 470 research papers, and she is now identified as a person who has led India's initiative for technological involvement or technological support in children with neurodevelopmental disorders. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you Dr. Shifali Gulati.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Zafar and Dr. Samir, for a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. So talking about technology, what is the scope of technology in neurodevelopmental disorders? We all understand that obviously there is going to be a lot of scope, and we understand that the prevalence, as was already elucidated in the talk, the WHO representative, that sicker, smaller children are surviving, and you are having more neurodevelopmental challenges which are coming up. And in the INCLIN study, Dr. N.K. Arora, Dr. M.K.C. I had led, and I had the privilege to be the network coordinator for the same under them. And that had shown there was a 12% prevalence of one or more neurodevelopmental disorders in our country in the age group of 2 to 9 years. And 20.8% had one or more than one condition, that means comorbidities. So you can understand the complex, the neurodevelopmental disorders, the challenges it will face. Can I have the next slide, please? So actually, this was a study I'm talking about, and you have 1/5 of them having comorbidities. Next, please. So basically, it can be done for early diagnosis, for early diagnosis and picking up. You can provide to make personalized treatment plans, decision support systems based on AI algorithms, and monitoring and prognosis. All of them can be used. So I'll just give you a brief priming of how it can be done and few examples from our thing. So basically, for diagnosis and screenings, you can either have something which is newly made, something new screening things which have been made. I'll be mentioning some in the subsequent slides, or there will be a lot of data sets have been used, and ML based algorithms have been developed, and they have picked up data points from the older classical tools so as to reduce the number of data points to be administered. And sometimes using things like eye tracking, taking some videos and seeing fMRI, quantitative EEG, etc. All of them are being used, and it is being used across board for various entities. Next, please. So basically it can be as I already mentioned, that you can have basically starting from intrauterine to foresee any obstetric complications, screening for diseases early, making diagnosis and management, and then assistive and adaptive technologies for rehabilitation. So you have a lot of virtual reality, augmented reality, BCI based stuff, and also AI based stuff, which is going to be there. And then obviously, you also can have various neuromodulations which can take in place, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, which we have been doing a lot of studies, and we developed a protocol for theta burst stimulation for autism spectrum disorders. We also done for SLD, for hemiplegic CPs, and many, many more. So there is a lot of scope coming with TMS. And telemedicine, yes, it is very, very important. And because of that inclined study, that led me to start the telemedicine long back. And before, if I do a telephonic consultation, I should be not missing a clinical event. A critical clinical event should not be missed. So we did 3 studies before starting doing this from April 13th, April 2018, much before COVID came. And that was, we had done 3 studies before, so as we showed that it was safe to do. And we have a pediatric neurology nurse manning the telehelp line, which is national toll free 24/7 ever since. And something about the other thing is, you have 3 kinds of prevention. You have primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. So with primary prevention will be to prevent the occurrence of the condition. So maybe this pre-implantation and post-implantation genetic diagnosis are something which will come in the future. Next, please. So this is a tool which I wanted to mention, Cognova, which is the first FDA-approved screening tool for which aids. It is used as a diagnostic aid, as it is called in FDA. In this, you have, it is taken from 18 months to 72 months, and parents are asked few questions, and there is a video of the child which parents are uploading. Based on that, you are able to pick up about autism. Next, this was June 2021, but then this was early tech diagnostic. This was a second generation evaluation, which is for younger children, 16 to 30 months, in which children are shown certain videos which are age sensitive videos, and the way the child interacts with the video and responds to the video is what is taken up for diagnosing autism. This is the second FDA approved one, which happened in July 2023. Besides this, many eye tracking and social engagement things have also been taken care of and seen. Next, please. So that is why, even if you have a sibling to be seen, then it is good to do the eye tracking. So this was another work which we had done on Hindi-speaking children interacting with humanoid robots, and based on this interaction, we have developed a machine-based algorithm which is currently patented, and this has been published for early pickup of these children. Next, please. So this is also another with the AI based, for AI based, we have developed assistive methods to help. So we have developed for predictive abilities, improving spatial as well as temporal predictive abilities, as well as joint attention for these children with virtual reality and augmented reality. And they have been piloted and gone. We have also developing a AI based robot toy for improving these prediction skills in these children with autism. Next, please. So also with the IIT Kanpur, we had developed an Indian affective picture database on emotional recognition ability, and we found that happiness was the easiest thing for these kids to choose. So this is also one thing which is there. Next, please. And this, along with the University of Reading, Sangat, IIT Mumbai, and Berber College and all, we developed this START is a screening tool which is autism risk using technology, in which you have some eye tracking things, some tasks which a child has to do, plus a video recording of the parent-child interaction. This is very important and is very easily, now it's been published. It's available for use for anybody across board for picking up these children. Next, please. So in addition, this was also done with the University of Berwick, and eye tracking was taken forward, and we have done in children here. We had done it in our center, and they have found to be helpful. Those eye tracking. Next, please. So there are other, there are many other AI-based interventions used on the improving the behavior, social functioning. Many people have used iPads. They have also used social robots. There are social robots. They are home-based training. Then they've also used some Bibli. There is a puppet-like robot for challenging behavior. But this big question mark is there, that whether a robot-child interaction which develops, where they're comfortable with, whether that will improve the human-to-human interaction in the future. Next, please. So Can I have, yeah. So this was the virtual reality and augmented reality joint attention training platform which we have developed. The top one is the virtual reality, and the bottom one is the augmented reality one. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So the previous slide already, which I went over the robots, I've already explained the various types of robots and for challenging behavior and social robots which have been used. And otherwise, you can help in mobility robotics, because many times you have comorbidities in 1/5 virtual reality system for understanding, then augmentative alternative communications, and for those who are really those who are older people can have self-care reports, and also mobile apps. We're also developing a mobile app on ASC. Next, please. So basically, this was another thing. We have developed a virtual reality assist, technology with a kinetic motion sensor with modified CIMT in children with the hemiplegic cerebral palsy, which may be associated, in many of the situations it is found to be helpful. And we also developed an AI-enabled interactive application for early intervention and dyslexias. And next, please. So we have shown in the, this is a web-based application. Initially, we did a study in which it was on hard copies done. Then we have to convert it into an AI-based platform as a part of the Center of Excellence. And next, we have just showing some emojis on the fMRI, which have shown improvement in language networks. And this we are using as standard of care. And right now, we've just completed a study in which we have used this as standard of care and added a transcranial magnetic stimulation to this, which has also improved much further the SLE children. So next. Next, please. Yeah. So the TMS I also already mentioned. So we have been doing on focal refractory epilepsy, hemiparetic CP. We have been doing ESES, which sometimes can be autism mimics. You can confuse with SLD, autism, and dystonias. So these are all basically actually being done here. So it's not hypothetical, but we can already go. Next, please. So basically, we have to understand. I think I'll just 1 or 2 slides left, probably. Can I have the next, please?
Dr. Samir.
Hello? Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Samir, we can hear you.
No, so there's some, yeah.
Sorry. I think I got locked up. Sorry. Samir, I'll just wind up in 30 seconds. I was just saying that technology can help us. Yeah. I don't know, the slide got stuck and then my laptop got hung. I don't know why. But in any case, I think was there one slide left
on the digital network also.
I'm saying there was probably one slide left, I think. Can I see, or should I just wind up without the slide? I can do that also. So that also not a problem. So basically, we can see that technology can help us, either from prevention, which ultimately will come with pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, then the screening of these children, and the screening of these children, what we have been seeing, I'm saying we also have tools from 1 month to 18 months, and at 12 months, we could have a sensitivity of about 90% and 18 months of 98% of picking up these children with autism spectrum disorder. So basically, this is something very important to understand that, and then, picking up early, and then all the interventions can be used with technology, and then their follow-up can be done with technology. So all this is something which we can do. And one thing is there, we keep talking about that you should not be giving screen time we want to reduce. But what we are talking about using technology in intervention is active form, right? So I think something important. So you're making the child actively interact, and you're improving skills in a way. These are all in a teaching manner. So it is not the child is just playing. He's being taught. So that is how it differs from the screen time, which we keep saying that you should minimize the screen time, because the other concern here, we are teaching them, they are giving training modules to teach, although yes, it does come on screen, but then you are actually stimulating and developing certain features, and you're giving them skills through that. So that is something different than having just passive screen time, which is to join for 20. So thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Samir.
Thank you, Dr. Shefali.
Thank you, Dr. Shefali. As William Shakespeare said, the problem is not in our stars, it's in ourselves. So the problem is not the screen or the media, but the way we use it. And thank you so much for your presentation. I'm very privileged to now invite the chairperson for the second half of the session, the panel discussions, Professor Dr. Nia Shah, who is very keen in the field of neurodevelopmental pediatrics from our neighboring country, Maldives, over for her chairperson's comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. First of all, let me thank Dr. Zafar Minai for inviting me for this gathering and to chair this gathering. I know I have there are very senior professors who are much knowledgeable than me, and some of them are familiar to me also. Because I used to visit Delhi very often. I studied in Delhi too. We have had very three lectures, one on epigenetics, one on role of screen. We have again two different sides of screen. One is the dangers of screen, and another is using technology, of course. And of course, even I have been very actively involved in this reducing the role of screen for the children, for improving their behavior. And Maldives is a small country, and we don't have many technical people here. We just have only one developmental pediatrician here, and she also just recently joined. So my specialty is actually not developmental pediatrics. I'm just a general pediatrician, but I have learned many things, and just in this 2-hour lectures here. So, and I'm very grateful for being here. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the professors. I think we should open the discussion, floor for discussion. If anybody has any question, I have one question. Maybe anybody can answer. What is the role of father's age in the development of child?
We have completed a study in which we have done the fathers from epigenome, and we have found methylation defects in the fathers of children with autism. And there has been with advanced father's age, quality of life, stress for the fathers. So,
okay, thank you very much, Madam.
Can I just add to that quickly?
Please.
Yeah. So what Madam said perfectly in terms of the genetics part of it, but the other part is the environmental part of it. You have a very old father, unlikely that he's likely to take you around to the parks, to the cricket game, etc. More likely to be indoors with the mother and the other members of the family, more likely to get involved with gadgets. On the other hand, you have a much younger father, he'll be very busy earning money and not be around at home. So you'll be missing that part. So I think along with the neurological and the genetic component, I think we should also look at the psychosocial component. There are lots of Hindi film movies in Bollywood that can explain this better.
Thank you very much.
But you know why No, Niyasha, I just was wanted to say why I tell that is mostly in our country in 2025 also women
India had
having father being a woman. Yes, that's the only thing.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Although I think I mean, the range was not very good, so I was unable to hear the entire conversation here. But thank you very much, madam. Thank you.
Dr. Niyasha, my suggestion for you to be able to not miss out being out of range is come to Kerala in August 28, 29, 30th for the actual conference. We will all be in range of each other and we'll have much better human engagement and not just over the gadgets. So thank you everybody for a very patient participation. My greetings again to Dr. Nair, Dr. Bodhankar sir, Dr. Rawat, and all my co-panelists and my seniors and friends. Over to Dr. Multani for the vote of thanks.
Doctor,
Yeah, Jafar.
yeah, I request Dr. Kavaljit Multani, our chairperson of Neurodevelopmental Pediatrics Chapter. Thank you, Dr. Niyasha. We are awaiting your gracious presence in our national conference. You had confirmed. I also welcome Professor Vijay from Nepal. He is there. He is coming. Dr. Luna from Nepal for joining. Dr. Multani, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zafar sir. And I think an afternoon well spent, an excellent selection of topics where we had talks from Dr. Rajesh Khanna sir from WHO about the role of parents. The WHO is working in such a perfect field, which is the need of the hour. And then about genetics, Dr. Lal was excellent. He covered so much in such a short span of time. And thank you, Dr. Murtaza sir. I think your book, though it is in Bengali, but I think we look forward to some translations which will be in Indian language, which can help parents in India. And Shefali ma'am, the technological marvel, I think, which you are taking ahead. I think it's a good mix. The man, the machine, the genetics, I think all these are needed for a better future for our children. And a big thanks and a round of applause for Dr. Nair sir, Dr. Bodhankar sir, Dr. Rawat sir for sitting throughout the session. I think few closing comments from all of you. A big thanks to all of you from my side. Thank you so much for making this a great afternoon. Thank you, sir. Any comments from your side, sir? After that, we'll close, sir.
Dr. NPC,
I don't
sir?
think Dr. Multani, Dr. Samir, Dr. Jafar, I don't think anything to be added. It was an excellent initiative from all of you, the chapter, IP chapter, neurodevelopment, and we are thankful to each faculty, each chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you all for organizing such a wonderful meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to meeting you all for an excellent physical interaction in August. Thank you.
Dr. Kanwal, before we end, very big thanks to Dr. Shambhavi and Dr. Indu, our dynamic chair, Honorary General Secretary Dr. Shambhavi said, and Dr. Indu, who is the admin in charge of the fellowship program for conducting this event. And we extend a very warm welcome. Please register for our national conference and second SANBEPA Congress to be held on 28th, 29th, 30th of August. It's the website, the registrations are there. We'll be honored. We most heartily welcome all respected senior dignitaries from SANBEPA. It will be an honor to host you all. Most welcome. Thank you, all my respected seniors, my colleagues, and my friends from South Asia who always make this event successful. We look forward for next month with another set of experts and great unity and cooperation for South Asian developmental as well as pediatrician doctors. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to host you all. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.